It was like any other day. You woke up, eyes burning and feeling crusty. Rolling off your bed until you hit the ground with a loud thud, and a searing pain in your bum. The pain jolting you up, forcing you to make morning coffee, while uncontrollably yawning. Followed by looking at the weather report, which usually made you sigh in utter frustration. Another hot day, of course. Why? Why was it that it seemed to be only you who hated summer? Every day you saw people in their silly little summer dresses, their stupid sleeveless shirts, having blast. Talking about how the weather is great because it's sunny, because it's warm. This was a boiling heat. You weren't a violent person, but this really made you wish you could punch those stupid smiles off their faces. Once your coffee was empty, you put on your clothes and went to work. You had a unique job. You're working the security booth at the fast entertainment mega Pizzaplex. Ugh, and it was such a boring job. Any visitors, number plate, you needed to write into the computer. Thankfully, any repeating customers were saved in the system, and didn't need all the information typed in again. Additionally, you also needed to give people fast passes when they were registered as Fastbear monthly subscribers. The Pizzaplex had 3 of these booths, just to make the flow of customers more manageable. Your pay was the same as that of regular security guards inside. So not good. But also not bad either. These people really did their research on that, didn't they? It was just enough to not outright quit. As you drove to work, you listened to the same radio as you always did. Some pirate radio run by a group of excessively right-wing teens. As someone who didn't take fringe political movements seriously, this was pure comedy to you, and always put a smile on your face. Plus, the music they played was pretty dope. Some underground shit that was really great. As you entered the Pizzaplex, you beelined to the changing rooms. There were a few of the guards getting dressed already. To save money on stuff like this, the employee changing rooms were shared between men and women. But surprisingly, everyone behaved. Not like there was anything to see, since everyone wore underwear. As per usual, the day shift guard leader Brian was sitting on a chair with his headphones on full blast and headbanging to whatever eardrum-tearing shit he was listening to for the day, while still in his underwear and only wearing the shirt of his uniform. The night guard was happily changing into his civilian clothing after a night well done, and the other employees were chatting with chipper voices about whatever you didn't care about. As you put on your black tie, the other 2 booth guards appeared with similar depressed facial expressions. "Hot day again," one grumbled to you lifelessly. You bit your lower lip. "Hot day again," was your reply. After you got ready, you left the changing area. You're about to leave when a voice called out to you.
"Ooh, are you a newbie? Hello, are you going to be working with me and Brian?"
You blinked irritated and turned around. What? No. One of the animatronics, the daycare attendant, had approached you. He jumped around excitedly before towering above you, his head tilted and his rays twitching as he grabbed one of your hands and vigorously shook it. Actually, it kind of hurt a little.
"Oh, we're going to have so much fun together. We can even come play with me and the kids."
Son, I've been working here for over a year now, you said, a little confused. Son's body froze. His cold hands gripped you tight. He was doing a quick roster check for your file. His rays retracted a bit and his head reared back.
Oh, I see now. I guess I got a bit overexcited. But if that's the case, why have I never seen you around?
You cut him off before he could go on a tangent, placing your hand over his face, before pointing outside. I work out there in the security booth, in the blistering heat. You scowled as you spoke, but then realized something. Wait, what are you even doing out here? Aren't you not supposed to leave the daycare? Isn't that a rule? I read that somewhere. Son immediately let go of your hand and seemed to stumble over himself.
Well, I was looking for Brian. I've been pinging him for a while that I need help with something, and he hasn't answered yet. So I thought I'd take it upon myself to get him.
He pressed his fingers together and fidgeted.
Even if I know I'm not necessarily supposed to.
You looked in the direction of the changing rooms, remembering that Brian wouldn't have heard anything since he was listening to music. Well, for right now, just go back to the daycare. He'll come over eventually. You know that.
All right!
Son cheered and skipped back in the direction of the daycare. You sighed. Glad that went as well as it could have. Immediately your amusement from the little conversation with the animatronic was gone, as you slumped over to your security booth. The space was crammed inside. The establishment provided an old PC that was constantly overheating due to the merciless heat. Unfortunately for you, the position your booth was in had it were facing the burning rays of the sun most of the day. The good thing about your work here were two nifty gadgets you had brought from home. One was an air cooler, a little fan that used water to shoot slightly colder air, and a mini fridge which was placed on the coldest setting. You took an ice tray out of the fridge and placed the cubes into the cooler's water supply to have an even colder air. It was just barely better than being outside, but better than nothing. Though to feel it properly, you needed to be hit right in the face. Soon enough, your workday finally started, as a few cars came in and went. It was peaceful, slow, and quiet. This never lasted long enough, though, as around 1 p.m. the real hustle and bustle always began. Car after car would need to be let in. And you would need type of people visiting. You never got a moment of quiet. It was only after sunset that it finally slowed down for you to catch a breath. You were exhausted, soaked in sweat, and you had a headache. You were overheating, but no one cared. Obviously. Or else there would be a change in the way this all was done. You adjusted yourself. Where you were, directly in front of the fan, face practically against it, you were on your phone, bored out of your mind, playing Subway Surfers. Then someone knocked on the back window of your little room. You were so out of it you shrieked and almost dropped your phone when you heard it. You heard a muffled apology from behind you. Turning around, your skin turned pale. It was Son. Why? What was he doing out here?
Hello!
He shouted. And he gave you a small wave.
What the hell?
You shouted as you sprinted out of your tiny compartment.
Language, Miss Security Guard!
Son placed his hands on his hips. What are you doing out here?
I wanted to see if you're doing okay.
He said it in an excited tone.
But why? Because I like meeting new people. You're new to me. And you were nice.
You rubbed over your face in disbelief. Son, that is no reason to leave the building, let alone the daycare. What about the kids? How did you get out here without no one noticing?
Well, I had an accident and I fell off my rope and they ended up closing the daycare since it was almost time to close it anyway. After they checked me in parts and services, I went through the loading dock closest to here to get here.
You looked into your booth and back at Sun. Son, you aren't supposed to do that. You know I'm going to be in trouble for this. I have to report this.
Oh, please don't. I just want to talk to you more.
Son, regardless of your intentions, you can't leave the building like that. Was this what Brian was talking about when it came to Sun? Ugh. Suddenly I understood the man even more than you already did. You groaned as you re-entered your booth and typed up the report. Meanwhile, Sun moved around to the open window in front of you.
My sensors tell me this room is way too hot, and that you're suffering from mild dehydration. I suggest that you drink some more water and go inside the pizzaplex to cool off.
I'm going to punch him. I'm going to punch him. I can't do that right now.
Well, then I will personally make a complaint to management to improve your work area.
Sun placed a hand on his chest in a sort of triumphant way. Please don't.
Report sent!
This robot was too good for this world. But it was definitely coming to bite you in the ass later. You still needed to report him being out here regardless. Son, you didn't need to do that. Really, you definitely did not need to do that. Finally, you sent the report out.
I just wanted to help, to cheer you up in a way. I guess, I'm sorry.
Sun turned around and quickly made his way back inside. He knew he'd been out here too long anyway, and had already been getting pinged relentlessly by Brian. You watched Sun as he departed. Why were you feeling guilty? This was all his fault. Why would he break such an important rule? And yet, God, you felt terrible. You contemplated the thought, and soon enough you heard your phone go off. It was your alarm to tell you to clock out. You smiled a little as you finally closed off your little booth and headed inside. However, as you once entered through the glass door, you heard a voice call out to you. There you are. I've been looking all over for you. It was Brian. You know I work outside, Brian. The man was giving you a toothy grin. Put Sunset. That was very ballsy of you. I didn't ask him to send it. And you sent that animatronic violation report right after? I'm so fucking impressed. The balls! You bit your lower lip, trying not to make a stupid comment. You rubbed your neck and looked away. I'm saying this in a good way. I mean, if I was the boss, I'd give you a raise. I love it when that guy starts shouting like a pissed off teacher in a rowdy high school classroom. Tomorrow I'm gonna buy you a drink. Right? You okay with that? Brian ruffled your hair before turning around and leaving. Yeah. Sure. You said to yourself, and quietly you stood there. Still feeling terrible, you went to the changing room and switched uniforms. You looked at yourself in the mirror. All the guards were slapping you on the back for annoying the hell out of the owner, though no one cared as to how Sun felt. Once you were back in civilian clothes, you booked it to the theater. You wanted to get to Sun's room. You managed to dodge the still fuming owner by carefully stepping around his adoptive daughter, the receptionist Charlotte, as a distraction. Such a nice girl. You made mental note to thank her for that later. Once through the passage, you approached the door to Sun's alcove. You knocked on the door. You heard a bunch of rustling from inside before Sun opened the door, just a tiny crack. Once he saw you, he threw the door open.
Oh, hello there, security guard. It's so nice to see you again. Come sit.
He grabbed your hand and dragged you inside. Sun ran around his room in a flash, clearing a couch for you to sit on. No, you just blinked, sensing your hesitation. Sun stopped.
I'm detecting frustration. Is something wrong?
You just plopped yourself down onto the couch and pressed your knees to your chest. How was he not upset at you?
Hey, you can talk to me.
I feel bad.
For what?
The report? He stared at you, patiently waiting for you to speak more. That's it.
Oh, I thought you would say more. Well, you were just doing your job. I'm the rule breaker. If you didn't report anything and it was found out later that you knew, you would have gotten in a lot of trouble with the higher-ups. And I would have felt terrible.
You stared into his eyes, sighing, rubbing your neck. But you were just trying to be nice. And I completely screwed you over. I betrayed your kindness.
But, well, that is true. You did that. But you were supposed to. Though it is a little upsetting that I'm being punished for being kind.
I know, and I want to say sorry. But
what?
it wouldn't be the truth. It wouldn't mean anything because I wouldn't have done it if... Sun's rays dropped.
You know, sometimes people do things in the moment without thinking. That's okay. Everything is fine. We're fine.
You gritted your teeth.
How?
Sun's head tilted.
What do you mean? How are you not mad? It's the fact that you feel bad. That shows you weren't trying to hurt me. And no buts. There was nothing more you could have done.
You fell silent, staring at the ground. The cushions on the couch sunk as an arm pulled you into the side. You slumped against the metal frame of Sun's body. He wrapped his long arms around you. You could hear the wiring of his internal fans.
It's not like I'm going to be scrapped, and you won't be fired. So everything's fine.
He placed his head on top of yours and rubbed your back. Though you never responded, only turning your head against his and listening to his fans. You needed the silence, but also the reassuring touch as it did so much more than words. And so, you decided to stay like this for a while. Thank you to the people who are supporting me on Ko-fi. You guys are keeping me alive.